Welcome to LawNext PR, the podcast where we put a spotlight on the latest news coming out of the legal tech industry. This is Bob Ambrogi, and in each sponsored episode of LawNext PR, I interview a legal tech company about its latest news and developments. Today, we are talking about the latest release of NeosAI, part of the Neos case management platform from Assembly Software. And joining me to discuss it is Bryan Billig, Head of Customer Education at Assembly Software. Bryan, welcome.
Hi, Bob. Thank you for having me back. This is always a good time.
Always good to see you. I was going to say we have to stop meeting like this. It seems like we talk way too much on these recordings, but I always enjoy
I don't
it.
want to stop meeting like this. I like meeting like this.
Good. Okay, I'll take that. Bryan, for anybody who hasn't watched or listened to our previous conversations, can we just start by having you tell us a little bit about Assembly Software and about Neos specifically?
Certainly. So today's a big day, and this year is a big year. So Assembly Software is the company behind Neos, case management software. That's a cloud-based system, but it was born out of the merger of Needles and TrialWorks, which were both case management platforms, but on-prem. And I come from the Needles side, which was actually founded 1985. So we are officially celebrating 40 years in business, which is pretty incredible for a software company, right?
I didn't think there was technology in 1985.
I mean, it's us, Microsoft, IBM, and a small number of others that have stood the test of time. So I'm really proud of the fact that we have come from, literally a DOS-based monochrome screen world all the way to this modern age and artificial intelligence tools, and have really taken, this incredible journey with legal technology.
That's pretty cool.
So now Assembly Software is focused on, the very latest and greatest technology with our Neos platform.
And specifically, what you and I have talked about a couple of times now is NeosAI, which was rolled out earlier this year, but has continued to evolve at a pretty rapid clip. But why don't you kind of give us the overview of what that is?
Sure. So first and foremost, you need to understand that Neos sits on top of Microsoft Azure. We are a Microsoft shop. So our database and our systems sit on top of the Microsoft Azure platform. We're also very tightly integrated with the entire Office platform. So you've got Outlook, you've got Word, you've got OneDrive, you've got SharePoint. All of those cool tools, help make Neos function smoothly and in a way that's very familiar, because we're utilizing platforms that, lawyers are using every day, and it's all tied into the same stuff. But with that comes some fabulous advantages, because Microsoft is at the forefront of artificial intelligence, especially from a business use perspective. So we get to stand on their shoulders, as it is, because they develop all of this fabulous technology, and we get it all day one. So we get to look at all of the stuff that they're doing for their entire client base, which is the world. And then we get to apply kind of a legal lens to that technology and say, okay, this is fantastic. How can we use this to make legal professionals' day better, easier, faster, more efficient? And it works out very, very well. We're able to release new AI features at a rapid clip. And the other reason today is special is because today is actually release day for us. So a new release of Neos and NeosAI went out last night.
So just to expand a little bit on NeosAI, and before we talk about some of the new enhancements, what's the basic idea of it? What does it help lawyers do?
You see, you said it like it was a small question, but it wasn't. It was a very, very big question. So
my job is just to ask the questions, Bryan. You've got to come up with the answers.
Fair enough. I break it into three categories. There is consumptive, generative, and other, because now there's so much other stuff going on. There's an other. Consumptive AI is when a Neos user has documents or information coming into the system that's really big, and we got to kind of break it down into chunks. So things like document summary, where we can take, a 40, 50, 150, 200 page document and basically read it and provide an output, a quick little like, hey, this is what's in this document, this is what it's about. Or If it's a complicated document that contains data that needs to be used someplace, like invoices, receipts, medical expenses, it has the ability to consume those large documents and extract that key information. Dollars, money, how much did this cost our client? And then put that where it's supposed to go in Neos so that somebody doesn't have to do the dreaded, I'm going to read it over here, I'm going to type it over here, I'm going to read it over here, I'm going to type it over there all day long. We're trying to get rid of that stuff. So that's the consumptive. Make sense? Then we have the generative. So for that, and that's what you see more sort of like in the news and people using, is I'm going to look at all of this information that's been collected for this particular case, and I'm going to generate something complicated, like a demand letter. So NeosAI can take a look at everything that's happening in the case, the medical records, the expenses, the costs, the details, the witness statements, everything that's happening, and then take all of those individual pieces and put it together in one complicated but a secure document like a demand letter. And we obviously always strongly recommend that before you act on anything that AI has touched, a lawyer reviews it, verify the accuracy. But what we're going to do is we're going to speed up that process significantly.
Uh-huh.
That's the concept of generative. See, you think it was a small question. The last category, the other, there's so many cool things that are happening in AI and with NeosAI specifically. And so we have like literally a chatbot, a helper, an assistant that it would open up a window like you were asking for help, but you can ask it questions about your case. So you can say, hey, I've got 3 different witness lists here. Can you comb through them and tell me if there's any differences? Or I've got this discovery. Are there any discrepancies? And what we've just rolled out, and this is very, very cool, and in keeping with, again, what Microsoft is doing, and again, this went out, this is new as of today, is the ability for users to select reasoning models when asking questions. Do you want to break down reasoning models real quick, and then I will explain how that's applicable, like in our space?
Why don't you do it for us? You're the expert here.
See, I tried to throw another one back at you over the fence.
Yeah.
Okay, so as AI technology gets better and better, you can ask more and more complicated questions. Sometimes you want to ask a simple question. So we have the ability to say, hey, broad question, summarize this document or summarize this case. Give me a view of everything that's happening in this case in 2 paragraphs so I understand the gist before I have to hop on the phone with somebody. And that's a broad question. Look at all of this stuff. But now with the latest GPT releases, we can then bring those into Neos, offer them to our users and ask really interesting questions. Like, look at all of this data and provide me with a projected potential summary value, or put together a defense of this case as opposing counsel. So I want you to look at this case and tell me what the other side is going to come at me with. And that way I can prepare properly for my case. And these are really like high level reasoning, sorts of questions. And they take a little while to process as opposed to like, the broad scope. But when they come back, it's something really well thought out. And it's going to give you something to think about when putting together your strategy on how to pursue this case on behalf of your client.
Right. So these different reasoning models have different capabilities. As you say, they can take different amounts of time to deliver an answer.
Mm-hmm.
How does this now work within Neos? Is it like a drop down? I can say, I want this one, I want that one. And how do users know which one they should select?
All fabulous questions. And the answer to the first one is you nailed it. It's a drop down. You open up the AI tool where you can ask any question you want and you say, hey, do I want, a big, broad, scope where I can look at a bunch of different things and I want that response immediately and, succinct? Or do I want to dive deep? Do I want to bring in some real brain power here and, chew on this? And when I say it takes a little while, minutes as opposed to seconds, it's all going to still be very responsive. As far as how they choose which model and when to choose which. Thankfully, we have a VP of customer education whose job it is to make those different items clear. So with this launch, as with every launch, a lot of educational content goes out that's accessible to our users so they understand how to take best advantage of all the newest features.
Yeah, and I would bet that as VP of Customer Education, you also encourage users to kind of play around with this stuff a little bit and experiment with it a
Yes.
little bit.
Absolutely, because AI is as much art as it is science now. When you and I first talked and we first rolled it out, it was on rails. Like when we rolled out NeosAI, it was like, this is what you can do, and you're going to go along this path. And with each release, we've opened up that capability more and more to the user base to get creative. And some of them have gotten so creative and come up with such cool stuff that we've had to come back and incorporate it in for everybody. The case summary concept is a perfect example. A client came up with that and built the whole thing with the freedom that we gave them to generate these Word documents that would summarize the whole case. And we thought, that's fantastic. We're going to make it a button. And so now
Hmm.
it's a button.
Yeah. So today is release day, as you said. There have been a couple of release days since the last time we talked as this product continues to evolve. What are some of the other features that have been added or enhanced or developed over the last couple of months?
So I'm going to take a moment and plug the website, if that's okay, because the list is long. The pace at which we're able to roll out new features and new content is significant. And we like talking about the AI stuff because that's, the coolest, highest tech, but there's a lot more than that as well. Check out assemblysoftware.com, and you can always click on the Neos button and see all of the latest features. The other one that I'm excited about is not AI at all. And again, this went out earlier this year and expanded significantly today, is the concept of automations. And basically what it is it gives the users the ability to build if-then sort of statements within their Neo system. If this happens, then do this. And my favorite example is Neos tracks cases as they move through the firm, right? And they go through different stages. So what some of the firms are doing is when a firm moves from, let's say, the investigation phase to the negotiation phase, right at that moment, instead of having a user type it and do it, send the client an email that updates them on the latest. Say, hey, this is so-and-so from your law firm. Wanted to let you know we've moved from the investigation phase to the negotiation phase. This is what that means. This is what you should expect from us. This is what we expect from you. If you have any questions, please reach out. And you can build an entire assembly line, pun intended, so that your client is communicated with at every step along the way, but all of the messages are automatically generated and are generic enough to just fill the client in so that they feel very engaged, they feel taken care of, and you can build all sorts of streams like this to do a variety of things to lessen your staff's workload.
That sounds great. I know that one of the other developments involves something that I asked you about in a previous interview, and you said, no, we can't do that, but it's coming.
Yeah,
And it's come, right?
we call it the Bob feature. So last time we did an actual demonstration of NeosAI, and we were looking at some of that consumptive functionality. We were analyzing a document with AI, and you asked the perfectly reasonable question like, hey, I don't get one document at a time. I get 2 and 5 and 20. So, what are our capabilities there? And at the time, again, we were on rails. It was just one document at a time. But those floodgates are wide open now. So we have the ability to analyze multiple documents, not even just of the same type. So if you get discovery, if you get a medical record, if you get an invoice, if you get all of these different, if you get business cards, health insurance cards, the whole deal, you can analyze them as a batch. And the system will tell you what's in each of these documents, but then take those expenses and put them in the value, take the information from the, insurance card and associate it with the party in the case, and basically divvy out everything into exactly where it's supposed to be within the system all at once because you wanted it.
Well, geez, I should think of something else outrageous.
I know, right? What do you got next? I need more before year end.
I'll use some stuff. But for now,
Deal.
let's talk about what you can do. Something else that you mentioned to me just before we started recording here is that a new ability to kind of create a summary of the entire case, right?
Yes. So we call it executive case summary. And this is what I was referring to, that a user came up with this feature and they set it up, kind of with the system that we built for them. But it was, first I do this, then I do this, then I do this, and then I do that. And this is the result, which is still amazing and powerful. And they loved it. But we took one look at that and said, it is too good. We've got to bring that in. So literally when you open up a case in Neos, on that first screen at the top of the screen, there's a block for case summary. One click, about 10 seconds, it reads the whole case and provides like a 2-paragraph summary along with all of the financials. So if a client calls in, if an adjuster calls in, if opposing counsel calls in, and the attorney has to get up to speed very quickly, they're not going to have to grab a bunch of people and bring them in. One click, 10 seconds while they're on hold, you pick up the call and you know the basics of the case, and then you can go from there. And that is built in and available on every case in the platform.
Bryan, what else among the new developments would you like our listeners to know about?
I would say from there, because I can keep going for another hour, and I know we've got a limited amount of time. I would say check out the website because there is so much. There's the AI features, there's, quote unquote, regular features, and then there's just enhancements. Just every release we have has like 40 or 50 enhancements, just little areas of the program that we make it better and better. And all of those come from our users. Because for Neos users, there's something we have called the support portal. Question mark in the top right corner, all of your questions, all of your support stuff, all your learning stuff's there. But there's also an idea portal where people can submit like, hey, wouldn't it be cool? And when we go to program new stuff, we obviously look at what Bob wants, but we also go back to our client base and say, hey, who's putting out cool ideas? And then they can upvote each other's ideas. And, we see what's popular and we go from there. So we always have big stuff and, medium good stuff and a whole bunch of little, like, wouldn't it be cool ifs.
If somebody goes to your website, is there a specific list of release notes on the website somewhere that they could find, or how would they know kind of what's the latest stuff? That's all there?
I could give you the tour. Literally, you go to the website, and for every release, there's a what's new section.
Okay.
We tend to release quarterly at the latest, but we tend to speed up a little bit. So every 3 months, we have a new release, and everything is listed there, along with the features, along with training videos, everything you want to know.
Okay. Well, Bryan, always good to talk to you, and great to see the progress, the developments that are happening so quickly with this product. It's always fun to talk to you and hear what's new and what's coming up next. So great to see you.
Thank you for having me back. I look forward to the next one. This is always a good time, and thank you for nerding out with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or you can find us on YouTube at LawNext PR. You can also find all the episodes in the LawNext Legal Tech directory under the Resources tab. This is Bob Ambrogi. Thanks for being with us today.